Hello, my name is Thomas, aka Deerking. That's Augie. We're here at the River in Philadelphia, and I have a new EP coming out called Sirens of Titan, and I wanted to share a little bit about it, a little bit about the songs, the backstory, what it was like to make it. So, Sirens of Titan, the title comes from a Kurt Vonnegut book, which, in my opinion, I think is his best book. My favorite book by his and my favorite book of all time is Slaughterhouse-Five. But Sirens of Titan, I think, is just an incredible book. And the reason that I named the EP after it is at the time of writing these songs, my life was a bit derailed and a bit all over the place and not where I had expected to be or things to turn out. And I feel like that's one of the main themes of the book, especially for the main character, that the more you kind of fight trying to put something in a square, in a circle hole or something, like the more you seem to derail it more. So yeah, that's why it's called Sirens of Titan. Strongly recommend the read. And the track listing for it is The Heart Attacks. What's up, buddy? The Heart Attacks, Dalmatians, Tired Restless, Friends from the Snake Pit, Esmeralda and the Waterfall, Sitting Pretty, and Lasso. And a quick other thing about the actual EP is that I base a lot of the single art. There's this like line of like this press release or pressings of Kurt Vonnegut books. It's like really popular. It's a big V and there's like two colors. And in each one, there's like a little square image, like at the top of the book. I always had these weird like, pictures that kind of describe the book, and that's what I based the arts for the singles. Like Dalmatians is off of Sirens of Titan, where in the Sirens of Titan image, it's like this Great Dane in space and time. The Heart Attacks is that as well. I think the Heart Attacks was Cat's Cradle. So yeah, I had a lot of fun doing that. But the first song, The Heart Attacks, to me, that song is about the person you want to be versus the person who you are in a relationship. I think of relationships as like these equations sometimes that you and another party are trying to solve. And it's like, what about me adds to this relationship? What about me subtracts to it, makes it a healthy and good thing? And what about you adds to it and subtracts it to it? And not in a transactional way, but like I think, hopefully we're all trying to show up in a way that adds to other people's lives. And I feel like in trying to solve that equation and what dating is, you sometimes find out that subtracting yourself completely or subtracting that person from your life is the best thing. And maybe that's contingent on time, where you both are at, and maybe that's just contingent on how you are as people. And that's what The Heart Attacks is about. The chorus, I don't want to be anywhere at all around, and what would it mean if you don't come around anymore? I think that's me trying to figure that out and measure what you think you should be and what you actually are, and how that adds to someone's life. Dalmatians, it's kind of the opposite. Dalmatians to me is the silver lining of the record because it's about falling in love. And I think in kind of the chaos and sea of confusion that the whole record is, or at least that's what my life was like at the time of writing it. It's the other side of all that chaos, and it's about the euphoria and kind of the terror of falling in love. And my favorite lyric from that song is, are we both the kind of people who build or destroy this crazy thing we began? And I think when you're at the beginning of a relationship and you're looking down the scope and realizing the potential of it, it's the potential both to like build something incredible and to also be completely run over. You start to kind of lose control of like your vulnerability, and you feel really raw. And if that goes the right direction, I think it's the best thing ever. I think it's what we all search for in some way. Yeah. Tired Restless for me was a really fun song to write, because I tried to write it as a country song for the longest time, and I wanted like pedal steel guitars, and I wanted it to be like honky, and like, you know, I don't know, I just wanted it to be really like, I don't know, like dusty or something, and like ballady, and it was not working. And when I got a little drunk and had listened to Fast Slow Disco by St. Vincent, and was like, maybe if I put 16th note synth beat on it, like, I don't know, I was just doing it mostly as a joke to like kind of fuck around with myself. And I did, and then that's what the song became. It kind of became this like clubby pop dance song. And I've never really had a song like that. And yeah, that was to have that in the repertoire. Now that kind of like opened up a whole new fun little playhouse for me. So yeah, it started as a country song and then ended up becoming a clubby kind of dancey, you know, pop song. And I want to do more stuff like that. Especially in the last band, we never really had anything like that. We kind of bounced from like punk songs to these kind of anthemic songs. And I feel like Deerking is about trying new sounds and expanding that palette. Friends from the Snake Pit. I don't want to say too much about this. Friends from the Snake Pit is in, you know, the departure of a friendship or people in your life. Maybe you try to handle that with a lot of grace and stay quiet or speak about it in a respectful way, and maybe other parties don't, and maybe over time your patience wears thin and you have to put that energy somewhere. And Friends from the Snake Pit is the place where I think that energy goes. It has to come out somehow, and I think that's a good example of it. That's all I'll say about that. Esmeralda and the Waterfall. This is like some guitar nerd shit. The guitar riff in Esmeralda and the Waterfall is similar to a riff that we had in the last band, and like on a very early song. And that type of guitar riff is like my favorite sound coming out of a guitar. And like you can see like inklings of it in like The Modern Age by The Strokes, which is my favorite song of all time. Almost as if it was like an octave down. You can see it like, I think mostly where it comes from is there's this song by Howler called Free Drunk, and the guitars in it just like sound like gravity to me, and they're so fucking cool, and I just always want to do that. And that's where a lot of guitar work comes from in Esmeralda and the Waterfall. The song itself is kind of a collage. I started it when I was living in Southeast Asia for a little bit, and then I finished it when I came back. I think it's a lot of little different moments coming together into one song, but that kind of guitar stuff is what I always really want to be doing and playing on the guitar. Sitting Pretty is maybe the most personal song on the record. It has good intentions. It doesn't have any bad intentions. It's like the closing of a door, like the end of an era. It's like it's supposed to be an homage to an area of my life, and like give it place and time and be truthful about it. I always thought that the instrumental interludes kind of sounded like the Willy Wonka factory, which makes sense for me because I love chocolate. And I also think, you know, it makes sense for kind of the homage that it's giving. I know those are two completely random things, and I don't really expect them to make sense out loud. It's also the only time on the record that I sing like that. Kind of, I gotta, and people sometimes like this and people sometimes don't. I sing in different ways depending on the song. And I think that's more of my natural voice. And I don't really always like to sing like that, but on that song I did. And I liked having that sound there, that kind of low baritone. The last song, Lasso, is probably the one that I'm the most cautious to sing about, or not sing about, to talk about. I think because of the internet, and because of the nature of being a musician, or just kind of, trying to expand your audience, things that are really important can get like misused, or like, I don't know if weaponized is the word, but yeah, I guess misused, which detracts from the actual importance of the thing. So Lasso is about mental health, and more directly, it's about the decision not to kill yourself. And I've been very lucky that I've gotten support through therapy and through some select people in my life who have gotten me, who've saved me more than I think they'll ever know. And right now, and for the last couple of years, have been in a really beautiful and amazing time of my life where I feel really healthy and good. And as I think that most of us can relate, there was moments, and phases in my life where I didn't feel like that. And luckily I was, I've gotten the support. And I feel strange speaking about that, because I want to speak about it, because I think that mental health should be destigmatized. I think the idea of checking in with a non-biased party for 1 hour a week to catch up on yourself, when we have literally billions of moments that have just kind of happened to us, the fact that could be considered crazy, or have any kind of stigma, drives me crazy. But outside of all this art and promotion or anything, I feel strange talking about it, because I don't want it to be misused. I want it to be a priority in what it is, and mental health is important, and I think reaching out for help and checking in with yourself is important. And the song is kind of happy or celebratory, and it should be, and I think it was easier to write because of that. I think it's easier to write because it's such a heavy subject as kind of a happy song, to make it more approachable, like within myself. It's also has Anthony on the drums. It's maybe one of the last tracks that we did together. And separately from everything I just spoke about, his drum part in the bridge like sometimes brings tears to my eyes, and that's so like nerdy and corny, but I really think the best thing in life is like to be able to witness or be a part of something transcending. I'm obsessed with this idea that you put all of your energy into like a perfect couple of seconds, and there's places in life where you completely have to be present because of the nature of the thing. Music, being on stage, is like that. Like there's nothing, you can't lie about anything when you're performing or doing music. Like it's completely honest with you. I think fighting in martial arts is the same way. I think that's why these things are spectacles, like when you see someone have a perfect 10 seconds or a perfect moment, there's just something really special about it. And Anthony was always really good at tapping into that, and you could hear that on the drum part, where in the bridge it just starts slow and steady and it just cracks at a point, specifically the drums, and every time I listen to it I love it. So musically I think that's one of my favorite moments of the whole EP. So some of these songs are already out, they're already on Spotify, but the whole thing comes out May 24th 2024. Excuse me. And yeah, I look forward to sharing it. Augie looks forward to sharing it. And we're going to go walk around and roll around in the grass. Thank you.